So there are a lot of claims throughout the guitar industry that state that certain types of hardware, usually high mass, like a certain type of steel, is going to give you more sustain if you use it on your guitar. So I thought I'd tackle one of these claims today that's relatively low risk with cost. And basically, I'm always looking to build as lightweight guitar as possible. And one of the places I found that I can kind of shave off a little bit of weight is the neck plate. So this isn't the guitar that I'm doing in the comparison, but this is the guitar that made me think of this. So this is a Reverend Partscaster that basically it's a Reverend Club King body, and I put a Warmoth neck on it. Good to know that Warmoth Fender spec necks fit really well in almost all Reverends I could find. You just get a Strat heel neck and it fits great. Reverend uses really, really heavy hardware. So I switched out the control plate for an aluminum one. I switched out all the knobs for very lightweight knobs. I took the Bigsby off and did a harp tailpiece, which I love anyway. And this neck plate is actually the heavy neck plate that we're doing in the comparison today. The one that I put on this guitar I actually made out of some aluminum that I got from a company. And so this one is a Fender American Standard neck plate from 1995. And you can see here that the Fender neck plate is much heavier than the aluminum one that I made. So all in all, this guitar lost a little bit over a pound, which is pretty significant if you consider that it was just about 8 pounds to start with, and now I'm under 7. So I'm using this Telly on the comparisons. It's just the woods are much more common on it, and it's a solid body. The Club Kings, I think, are Carina body with a solid spruce top, and it's semi-hollow. So that's just a little bit of an oddball, and I wanted to make it something that was relatable to other people's guitars. Please click the like button, subscribe, and comment on the video. Let me know what you think of the comparison. It helps a lot to keep these going. Okay, so let's dive into a Logic session and see what we can find out about the sustain. So what I tried to do to get the sustain to be on a level playing field is I did about 4 strums on and 4 picks on each different neck plate and each different test that I was doing. And then I would look at the waveforms and listen to them and see which ones had a transient, like the attack point, that looked and sounded the same. And then I figured the sustain would be on the level playing field. So I brought in 2 level meters in Logic so you can get a good look at the level coming out of each track. I panned the Fender neck plate to the left, and I panned the homemade aluminum neck plate to the right. And so we'll play at the same time. We'll watch it. We'll listen. If you put on headphones, you can hear each decay in your ears. So, all right, here we go. So that was really close. I think maybe the Fender had a little more. Let's see about this G chord. Seemed about even. Maybe the aluminum was a little bit more on that one. Okay, now we're just doing a, I think it's an F note on the B string. Again, really close. If anything, the aluminum on the right had a little bit more sustain. Those are about as even as they could get, but I think the Fender lasted a little bit longer. Yeah, and that's about as even as I think it could possibly get. So, to me, I really don't think that there's any significant difference. I certainly didn't feel a difference playing the guitars back to back. As I was going through the examples a little bit, just finding the 2 transients that would match up the best, I mean, the tones varied from, within the Fender neck plates, just the slight variations in pick technique. And I was really listening hard. The slight variations in pick technique on the Fender made them sound more different from each other than they were from like any of the aluminums. So if you're trying to shave off some ounces on your guitar build, go for the neck plate. It really doesn't matter. I ordered these little, basically I sent the specs of how big a neck plate is to this company, and I just wanted one, and they sent me a ton of them just because I think that they already had the template, and they sent me a bunch, and it was really cheap. So I'll see if I can remember where that was, and I'll put that in the description. And then aluminum is so easy to work with that I just drilled the holes with just a plain old drill bit, and I sanded down the edges to make sure it was nice and smooth, and I kind of like sanded down the top a little bit to give it almost like a brushed nickel look, or obviously brushed aluminum, but it was very easy to do, and it shaved off a considerable amount of weight for how small those things are. All right, thanks for hanging out and checking this out. Let me know if you have any questions or if you have any suggestions for other parts that you might like to hear. One thing that I've been thinking about doing is getting like a cheaper guitar that has parts that I would like to replace, and doing kind of like a step-by-step, replace this part, what difference does it make? Replace this part, what difference does it make? And do this over, it would probably take me like 6 months to do this video, but I would just do it slow and, find good parts, and we'll hear the difference as we go. And that would be kind of cool to hear the finished product versus what you started with. I'd do the electronics. I'd probably keep the same pickups, because pickups are so, that's the sound right there, right? It kind of shapes the sound. But I'd probably do a different neck, different bridge, maybe different saddles, just kind of run through the gamut of different parts that can be replaced on guitar. So, all right. Anyway, thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you next time. Bye.